Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I have a super fun, super quick project for you. This is to make some scrappy tree tags, and I have all of my scraps, not all of them, but most of them pulled out here, and we're just going to make some quick tags out of our scraps for Christmas presents and for gifting and things like that. Like I said, it should be pretty easy. I'm using my wafer thin nested tags from scrapbook.com. Love this die set, like by far my favorite die set that I own. And otherwise, everything else is just going to be using up scraps. So I will put you guys on fast forward. I'll show you the process. Let's go. All right, so like I said, this is a super easy craft and a great way to use up your scraps. And actually, I do this for Christmas tags, but you could make tags and cut out any shapes that you wanted in the end. So I just used this die. I chose a base color for each tag. So we're going with the rainbow. You saw my orange tag is already out, and then I will cut one out of each of the different color groupings, I guess you'll say. I'm not really worried about what's on the back of the tag. If I end up not liking what's on the back, then I can just put it on white cardstock and then easily write who the present is to. So the front is just meant to be decorative. I like to use washi tape to hold down my dies as I'm cutting, just so that they don't, some of them, especially the one that cuts the hole for the tag, is really small. And so it can shift around really easily. So I sandwich it between and then run it through my die cutting machine. So this is actually a Jane Davenport die cutting machine, and I asked for it for Christmas a few years ago for my husband, and honestly I just picked it because I love Jane Davenport. I love the mermaid theme. I just thought it was a super pretty die cutting machine. I don't use die cutting very much. You could also cut these out with your Cricut or your Silhouette, of course, and then tags are a simple enough shape that you could definitely just trim out your own tags with your scraps, and that way you can really have them be custom to what size scrap paper you have. I just wanted these to be a little bit more uniform, and I like that there are going to be all these rainbow colors. I think it would look really pretty to use this along with black and white wrapping paper. So not maybe your classic Christmas colors, but I think this monochromatic idea would really pop off of black and white wrapping paper. So that might be something I'm searching for. I have not picked out my wrapping paper for this year, which I know some of you have wrapping paper for days, and some of you have already wrapped all your presents for this year. So I'm a little bit behind what I would normally do, but that's okay. There's still plenty of time to wrap presents. So I'm going to get all of those cut out, and then I tried two ways of assembling my little Christmas trees. So for the first way, I'm just going to put adhesive directly on the tag and then just put the strips of paper down. And I'll be honest, this was not the easiest way to get this accomplished because I ended up with a super wonky looking Christmas tree. But here I go. So I'm putting the adhesive down, and we'll start with this little triangle at the top for the top of my tree. And then the idea was to just cut little strips or tear little strips that got slightly bigger each time. This one wasn't wanting to stick very well. They just got a little bit bigger each time. They're all in the same color family because that's how I have my scraps sorted. And this one, like I said, a little bit wonky. I come up with a better way to do this momentarily, but this would be a really good activity to do with kids or grandkids, or also a really fun thing to do as a group activity, maybe with your crafty friends that you've been hanging out with this year, maybe a Bible journaling group, something like that. Everyone bring your scrap paper and kind of throw it in the middle and see what you can create. I think that would be a lot of fun to do as a group. All right, so you can already tell the shape of this particular tree is a little bit wonky, not my favorite. It'll come together. This one probably ends up being my least favorite tag. And you can see I'm like, I'm just gonna cut. I just stick my scissors right in there and just cut it away so it looks a little bit more like a tree. And in the end, I'm going to add a longer trunk to this tree just because it got big fast, and it just was an odd way to kind of come together. But I come up with a better plan on how these will work for my next colors, and then it really starts to come together really easily. I need something for the trunk of my tree. We'll do this piece right here, trim it off. All right, that one's done. Now Let's try the next one. We're going black and white. And instead of attaching it to the card right away or the tag, I'm going to just put the pieces together. I'm going to work them all in one group, and you can see I'm just adding a little bit of adhesive on the back and then sticking another piece down and just building my layers right here. That way I can kind of control a little bit what it's looking like, and then once it's all assembled into what I determine is a long enough tree or a tall enough tree, then I can do the cutting after the fact and have a little bit more control. Now this one still ends up a little bit wonky, and that's okay because I think these are like quirky tags anyway, so that totally doesn't bug me. All right, so that'll be big enough. And for this one I try to do like the little Christmas tree edges right here, and it just ends up wonky. It's like a leaning Christmas tree. Let's call it my Charlie Brown Christmas tree. It's just leaning a little to the side. It's still cute. I try some different styles with these. Some of them are just plain triangles. Some of them have the little fancier edge. It's fun to just change it up. So I'll speed this up a good amount now, picking out all my different supplies. Let me know in the comments. So do you, when you are wrapping, do you use all the same wrapping paper? Do you like pick a wrapping paper for a year, or do you hodgepodge, get what you have, use that up, use different ones? Do you do different wrapping paper for different people? And do you like wrapping and decorating the presents? And this might be a shock to you because I do enjoy crafty things, but wrapping presents is one of my least favorite activities. I love giving presents, but wrapping presents for Christmas, for birthdays, it's something that I just don't like a whole lot. And so I don't usually do a whole lot of wrapping like decoration. I think it's so beautiful when people take the time, and it always means a lot to me when someone gives me a present that has been wrapped so gorgeous. It's just one of those things that just doesn't, I don't know, it drives me a little bit crazy. But for the holidays, what I generally do is I get all the presents and I have one like massive wrapping session for my whole family. I usually have hot chocolate and watch Love Actually because I'm wrapping when my kids are in bed. Sometimes my husband will help. I tend to wrap way faster than him, so my presents get done. I do like 2/3 of the presents and he does 1/3. He's a little bit more methodical in his, and I'm like the person that's just, you know, spinning the box in the wrapping paper and putting tape all over it and calling it a day, which I know it seems crazy because I do like beautiful crafty things, and it really does, it makes a difference, and it's just something that has never been my favorite thing. All right, so you can start to see some of the variations. I'm totally digging the monochromatic feel. This is totally fun getting to use a ton of scraps, but you can see what I'm talking about. You could put the scraps together like I did in method 2 and kind of cut out any shape you wanted, which would be super cute. I decided that I wanted to outline the trees so that they would pop off a little bit more, and then I would add the trunk as well in black. Sometimes I fill it in, sometimes I keep the trunk open, so it just kind of depended on what I thought would look best. And I think they came out super cute, you guys. Look at how fun those are. So some of them are wonky, but that's okay. That's the whole thing about using scraps. That's kind of how scraps work. They just end up wonky at times. So I have almost the whole rainbow going here. I don't have a purple one, which I think is also pretty funny because purple is my favorite color. But that's okay. It's not included in my little scrap bin, probably because I used all my purple paper, and so I don't have leftover purple paper. This one, again, this is my super wonky one. That one's not my favorite. That's okay. Sometimes you have crafts go wrong. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is add little stars. I have some acrylic stars from Illustrated Faith from forever ago, when I forget what the name of the devotional was, but it came as part of the devotional kit. These acrylic stars, I'm going to find one that kind of coordinates with each tree. I'm able to kind of go with the monochromatic feel except for the black. Right now I have a yellow on the red tree. I will find a pink that kind of fits better. The black I have to go with a purple star, but that's okay. I think that's fitting because there's no purple tags, so that's my little bit of purple being represented. These acrylic pieces actually have a little paper backing to them, and I ended up deciding not to take the paper backing off because it made them see-through and I couldn't really, they weren't standing out enough for what I wanted. So I decided to end up leaving the paper backing on. Once those are there and set, the next thing I'm going to do is take some silver cord, cut it in 7 equal lengths so that I can have it to add in so that these can tie on to a present. So what you do is this is me cutting all of the different pieces of the cord, cut them all or cut one at a time, whichever works for you, and then you send it through the hole with a loop. So you kind of fold it in half, it goes through the hole with a loop, and then you pull it through and you're left with 2 strings. So here I go. So I'm going to pull it, see it's looped, it's going to go through, push that through, and then push the extra strings through the top, and now it is a tag. All right, that is it for these easy Scrappy tags. Let me know if you end up trying these. It really is a fun project to do. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. I will link some of the supplies down below, like the nested dies, and if I can find my die cutting machine, I will link it below, but it is a few years old, so I'm not sure that it is made anymore. Those will all be in the description box below. I want to give a huge shout out to my Scrappy YouTube members. Thank you so much for all of your support. It really means the world. Otherwise, I hope that you all have a fabulous day, and as always, keep it creative.